The purpose of this video is so you can learn how to write something called a shell script. Sometimes you'll find yourself repeatedly typing the same sequence of commands over and over again, or you develop the repetitive chore that requires a combination of Unix commands, and you're wondering, how can I do this all in one place? How can I cleanly do this so that I don't have to keep typing the same stuff over and over again? So one thing you should realize is that this Unix shell is actually a fully featured programming language. There's conditional logic, there's looping, there's things like that that live inside of the shell, which I'm not going to cover here, but there are numerous books on shell scripting, which you can consult to learn about that. But one thing that's kind of handy is the ability to write little scripts that execute a sequence of commands in seriatim. So you may have seen this command knocking around on your own, and maybe not, but let's do this. If you type cal, it'll show you a calendar for the current month. Okay? If you type echo, hello, it will echo hello back at you. Now, echo looks like kind of a useless command, but when you put it in a shell script, it can convey information to somebody. So it's actually not a useless command. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a little shell script called greet.sh. Now, if you use a .sh extension, the VI editor will do syntax coloring. It'll make it easier to spot mistakes. So I'm going to go ahead and open a file and call it greet.sh. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so VI is now open. So here's what I'm going to put inside of that folder. I'm going to go echo hello, comma. Now I'm going to do something funny looking. I'm going to use an environment variable. And this fearsome looking thing, log name, is nothing more than your login name. Okay? Then I'm going to say echo, here is this month's the calendar. Yeah. For this month. All right. Now I'm going to type cal. So those are 3 Unix commands that I've put in here. So it's going to greet me by my username, show me a calendar, say here's a calendar for this month. It's going to show me that calendar. So how do I make the script operational? Well, first of all, I'm going to do this in the beginning line. I'm going to put in something called the shebang line. So you put a pound sign and a bang. Okay, and now you say /bin/bash. This will tell the operating system that what you have here is in fact a set of commands you want to carry out as Unix commands. So that's step 1 is to create this file. Now get out of the file. Now one thing the file does not have is the required permissions. Now I'm not going to be terribly fussy here. I'm going to grant everyone execute command permissions because this is no great screaming secret. So to do that, I'm just going to go chmod +x greet.sh. And when I list my files, you will see greet.sh is green because it's an executable file. Now, how do I run this file? The way to run this file in your current working directory is to go ./greet.sh. And wham! There it is. The Unix commands that you placed in this file have now been run. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something interesting about my path. So right now I'm in my home directory, I do believe. Yes, I'm going to verify that fact. And I'm going to open my bash RC file. Oh, it's not in there, so it's probably in bash underscore profile. Okay, yes. Now, if you don't have this line in your .bashrc, open it with Vim and place this line in here, okay? And then you'll need to say export path. What will happen is now part of your search path will be to look in the bin directory. And I'll show you the benefit of doing this. This seems like a kind of arcane thing, but actually it has a great deal of benefit. So I'm going to go escape:/WQ. Okay, so I'm going to move greet inside a bin. And the beautiful thing is, say I cd to /home/2021. All right, and I'm here. I can now do this from anywhere in the file system, and that program will now run for me. So this is how you make a shell script. Shell scripts allow us to handle repetitive chores. Now, here's another interesting fact that you should be aware of. Let me go back to my home directory. When the shebang line is invoked, what happens is a new shell is actually created. So now I'm beginning to get behind the scenes a little bit. A new shell is created, and the commands in the script are executed in that shell. And then when the script terminates, that shell is terminated. Now you can actually do this on your own. You can create a new shell. All you have to do is type bash. All right. Now let's say I go cd/home. Okay. So now it's like the shell is like a telephone connected to the operating system. And when I type bash, I'm connecting another telephone to my original telephone. Now, when I do this, here's an interesting thing that happens. The current working directory of this new shell that I created, the inner shell, is /home. But if I exit that shell, if I type exit, that terminates the execution of that shell, and my original shell that created or spawned that shell is back in my home directory. So be aware that what happens, even if you do a bunch of moving around in the directory system in a shell script, when the shell script is done executing, your original shell will be precisely where it was. Now, one additional thing of interest in shell scripts is the ability to have command line arguments. And I'm going to show you very quickly how to make that happen. So what you're going to do is something like this. Watch. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say vi. Oh, where am I? Okay, I'm here. So I'm going to make a file and I'm going to call it arguments.sh. And in arguments.sh, I'm going to do exactly this. It's going to be very, very simple. So I'm going to put in my shebang line, which I need to do. Okay. Then on the second line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say echo $1 $2. Now, if I do this, my shell script is going to expect 2 command line arguments. Okay, it's going to expect 2 command line arguments. Well, let's see how that actually works. So the first thing I'm going to do is my chmod command. Okay, now what I'll do is I'm going to go like this. And so what happened is the first argument is substituted in as $1. So it echoes foo, and then the second $2 or cash 2 is bar. So if you want to feed information into a shell script at the command line, which is actually a very reasonable thing to do, because then the program can run without your intervention. You feed in the desired commands, and those commands are carried out on those arguments. Now let's see what happens if I fail to give 2 arguments. Okay, not a heck of a lot happens. Okay, so if you don't give it enough arguments, those arguments will be assumed just to be empty strings. Okay, so this is writing a shell script. Fairly simple, straightforward procedure, and it can be something that, as your knowledge of Unix advances, it can be something that can save you a lot of work. And the other thing you learned about today was modifying your path so that it will look in different places for executable files. I tend to believe that it's a very good practice in your home directory to maintain a bin directory, and you can put shell scripts, and later on you'll see you can put other executable items in there and run them from anywhere in your file system. Next time, what we'll talk about is Unix filters, which allow you to take data from files or other sources and transform them.